business at this point. Y'all have to, Democrats. They waited till a majority of the country would be asleep, but they didn't expect the insomnia brigade to be watching them closely. They passed this vote while a majority of people are asleep. Millions of people will lose their health care. Millions of children will lose food assistance. Millions of people are going to be affected with the Medicaid and Medicare cuts. Millions. And they did this while most of us were sleeping.
So the House Republicans passed that bill that we've been talking about. You know, the one that's going to snatch people off of Medicare and Medicaid, even though they said they weren't going to touch it. The one that's going to increase student loan repayment plans because they're going to consolidate loans if you're in the SAVE plan, which would basically cost us an additional $3,000 a year. The one that continues to extend those tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires, you know, the richest among us. Baby, and then they even put the Trump trust in there. Now, on one hand, it's good because the children gonna get $1,000 a year starting in 2026. But in true Donald Trump fashion, he had to put his name on it because marketing is everything. And so people will just assume and believe that he's giving them money when, again, as we see, Congress is the one with the power of the purse.
Oh, if they take Medicaid, oh, if they cut SNAP, those people who don't want to work have to work. No, I don't think you're looking at the deeper picture. Nurses, doctors, CNAs, LPNs, all of them gonna lose their jobs too. How, you may say? Well, if they cut all those billions of dollars in Medicaid, most of the people in hospital depend on Medicaid. Most of the people in nursing homes depend on Medicaid, which where RNs and doctors and nurses work. So if all of them die, who's gonna fund the hospitals and the nursing homes? So that means that everybody else lose their jobs too.
If something is big and beautiful, why is it that they're waiting till 1 o'clock in the morning or after midnight to be able to work on this big and beautiful bill? Why is it that they have to wait until the media is not paying attention while you're sleeping? I'll tell you why. Because in this big, beautiful bill, they're cutting Social Security, which you're entitled to because you pay into that, Medicare, Medicaid, education funding, and food stamps, all to give billions of dollars in tax cuts to the ultra wealthy.
So the House passed the bill. They passed the budget bill, H.R. 1, or what they like to call it, One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Nothing about that's beautiful, right? Because let's look at it. It cuts $30 billion for food stamps, $50 billion from Medicare.
Hey my people, it's Gracie here once again. Welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that from wherever you my people are watching this from, you're doing alright and God has protected you and preserved you very well. And I do appreciate all of you that keep supporting me on here. To the generous souls that give me super thanks and super chats, thank you so very much. And I want to give a special shout out to my members that consistently support me on here through membership packs on, the membership program. I do appreciate you so very, very much. And as always, we definitely have another good, interesting episode to dive ourselves into today. And today we are going to be reacting on the reactions of Americans about the one big, beautiful bill that was passed yesterday in the night when everybody was sleeping. Why it was done that way, I don't know why, but it reminded me of a story in the Bible of one man that was, hung on the cross during the night because they were trying to avoid commotion and being held accountable. If you do things during the night, you are definitely trying to hide something. So quite a number of people in here are concerned, and I'm going to show you the concern part first, and then I'll show you the reactions of what both Black and a few other voices in here, what they think about this bill and how it's going to affect you and your loved ones, just in case it goes through the Senate, because it is done passing through the Congress. But anywho, let's watch this. We are going to come back and talk about it. Do me a favor, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share it, and let me know what you think about this as well.
There's a live look tonight at the White House after the U.S. House signs off on that so-called big, beautiful bill. It's President Trump's plan to cut taxes and improve border security. But tonight there's concern about how this plan will affect those already struggling. Good evening. There are massive cuts planned for Medicaid and food assistance programs right now.
Concern growing tonight for those who rely on this assistance for health care and to feed their families. Consumer investigator Hank Winchester is live in Detroit tonight. Hank, this has some people worried.
Yeah, it certainly does, Kimberly. And as you know, with politics, there are people who say this bill is exactly what America needs right now, that it will help people across all different demographics. There are others who strongly disagree, and some of them out here right now, just over 96, sharing their message. As you can see, their signs, Medicaid saves lives. These are people concerned about Medicaid cuts and also big cuts coming to various food assistance programs. Take a look. The tax and spending bill creating some big concern for people. Here in Detroit, we meet Vincent, who's worried about how he'll pay his bills.
Everybody got to survive.
Yeah.
So it's just putting everybody in a bad spot, you know?
Yeah.
It's either you got it or you don't. It shouldn't be like that.
While some are praising the president's move and the tax cuts that come with it, others here in the city of Detroit are worried about what this means for them and their families.
I think that it's sad. But at the same time, I can understand some people do abuse systems.
A closer look at the tax and spending bill means that there will be no tax on tips, overtime, and car loans. There'll also be an increase in the child tax credit, a Trump savings account for newborns, and numerous tax cuts, and also $46 billion towards border security. But here's where things get complicated. There could be a $700 billion reduction in Medicaid programs. 8 million people could lose health care coverage. The SNAP food aid program could be cut by more than $260 billion, and there may also be new work requirements for both programs. Here on the West Side today, people protesting this bill.
If you have to pay for those medications out of pocket, now you have to choose between paying for those and paying for the other basics of life.
Back out here live, protesters here continuing to spread their message, the one that they believe is right. Meantime, President Trump and the Speaker praising the efforts by lawmakers overnight to get this passed in the House. I should tell you the ACLU releasing a statement a short time ago saying that this bill has the potential to hurt millions of Americans. We're live here tonight on the West Side. Hank Winchester.
Never wake up to nothing good. So y'all, last night while we were sleeping, the House went ahead and passed that budget bill. Come on, sip a little tea. What ain't tea? Let's talk about it. So y'all know I've done my research before I get on here and I speak on anything. The House passed that bill while we were sleeping last night. What's going to be affected, ain't tea? Medicaid, Medicare, as well as SNAP benefits. Now, a lot of people like, oh, well, that doesn't affect me. Let me scroll past the video. It may not affect you directly, but what about your parents, your grandparents, your children? Thousands, millions of people, y'all, are going to be affected by these cuts. Man, it's so much, too. $200 billion will be cut from the SNAP program. $600 billion will be cut from Medicaid. Medicare, the number is still being tossed around how much will be cut from that program. Come on, man. So many people rely on these programs, y'all. Think about it. Think about a child who only gets fed most of the time at school as it is because their mama receives SNAP benefits and it's not enough. Now imagine them cutting it even more. Children are going to starve, y'all. A lot of children may starve. Think about your grandparents that only have a certain amount of money that they receive from like Social Security or a 401k plan or something like that. So they rely a whole lot for their medicine and doctor visits and surgeries and everything else to come from Medicare. And they're going to go into that money on them as well. Think about all the children who are on Medicaid. My children included receive Medicaid. What type of cuts are they going to take from Medicaid? Is the amount of times they can go to the doctor going to be cut? How many prescriptions? They already had started to do that. What's going to happen? What will these cuts affect, y'all? That's something we should take into consideration. Thank y'all for sipping a little more tea. What I see. Bye, y'all.
If something is big and beautiful, why is it that they're waiting till 1 o'clock in the morning or after midnight to be able to work on this big and beautiful bill? Why is it that they have to wait until the media is not paying attention while you're sleeping? I'll tell you why. Because in this big, beautiful bill, they're cutting Social Security, which you're entitled to because you pay into that shit, Medicare, Medicaid, education funding, and food stamps, all to give billions of dollars in tax cuts to the ultra wealthy. And by the way, they didn't just work on it. Literally today, they just passed it. Breaking news. They just passed the big, beautiful bill in the House of Representatives. It is now going to the Senate, where it is likely to pass because these Republicans are scared of Trump. That's what's happening. Again, this is that little dick. They gotta work at nighttime. They gotta work when you're sleeping, when the media's not paying attention, in order for them to pass this shit. And they have the majorities. They control the House of Representatives, they control the Senate, and they control the White House. Damn near they control the judiciary in controlling the Supreme Court because they have a mega Supreme Court. Little dick energy.
Y'all gotta stand on business at this point. Y'all have to, Democrats. They waited till a majority of the country would be asleep, but they didn't expect the insomnia brigade to be watching them closely. They passed this vote while a majority of people are asleep. Millions of people will lose their health care. Millions of children will lose food assistance. Millions of people are going to be affected with the Medicaid and Medicare cuts. Millions. And they did this while most of us were sleeping. That seems fair. That seems on the up and up. Wow. So thankfully for me, my insomnia is all over the place lately because the budget committee waited until almost 1 a.m. in the morning to complete their process of voting to push through the big, beautiful bill. So now it'll actually go to the House floor where the members of the House will vote to have the budget pass, and then it would go to the Senate for another vote. And they have one of the smallest majorities in history. Right now, there's 220 Republicans and there's 212 Democrats. And the Republicans can only stand to lose 3 votes, and then it won't pass the House. And that's if all of the Democrats vote no. So I hope there's some solidarity this time. This is our second go around. Let's not do what Schumer did again. Let's not let this thing happen where y'all don't stand on business.
You want to know the real reason why the Orange Man wants this big, beautiful bill to pass so quickly? There are provisions in there that are not just cutting Medicaid, cutting SNAP, cutting benefits. In fact, there are provisions in there that would effectively make any sort of opposition to the president null and void. For example, one provision is that federal courts will no longer be able to hold the president in contempt. That was something they added in there very recently. I wonder why. You see, for all of you who kept saying the man is defying court orders, he's defying judges, that was never the case. Notice how these people don't answer questions when they're being asked in front of Congress, or they don't take their rhetoric in front of an actual judge, because there are consequences, there are still rules, there are still guardrails in place to stop these people. But because they have essentially lost every single case that has gone in front of a federal judge, they have had an injunction filed against just about every executive order that they've tried to put out. They are now trying to add a provision that basically says the courts can't do anything anymore. We are done losing in the courts. We're just going to remove them altogether. These are the things that really upset me. These are the reasons why it is very concerning to watch Republicans chanting USA, USA when this bill passes the House of Representatives. These people are chanting to have their own power taken away from them. How the hell did we get here? How did we really get here? Where an entire party has decided we don't want democracy anymore. We don't want there to be any sort of rule of law or due process. We don't want those things anymore. What we want is control, and we want all of that control to be in the hands of the orange turd. That is concerning. That is very concerning for the future of this country. This bill cannot get through the Senate. It absolutely cannot get through the Senate and make it to that man's desk, because that big, beautiful bill is the death certificate of America.
Got some breaking news here, guys. So I did a TikTok earlier about this new bill that was not just signed, it was actually passed. And this new bill that I thought that was going to benefit Americans, I did not know when I did a TikTok video earlier that this new bill is going to potentially save $1 trillion by cutting Medicaid, food stamps, SNAP benefits when it comes to housing authority, medical benefits for millions of people, man. But when I did the video earlier, I didn't realize everything that was going on within that bill until I did further investigation. And just when I thought that this was going to be a good bill that was signed and approved, I thought it was going to be something that was going to benefit everybody. But this looks like a bill that was signed that's actually going to hurt Americans even more. You know how many people depend on these benefits? Medicaid, just for basic doctor appointments, basic hospital visits, for not just the kids, but for the parents as well, are elderly people. To cut Social Security benefits, the people who's worked their whole entire life, the person that got hurt while they were 25 years old, that could not work again, who had to actually get on disability, Social Security, SSI, to get some type of benefit so they can continue to live on because they're no longer able to work. And now you're telling me that those benefits are going to be cut? What about the parents who depend on food stamps to be able to provide for their children, that's not in a position where they can get out and find jobs right now? Daycare, no matter if they find a job or not, just the cost of daycare alone for 4 or 5 kids is going to cost 10 times more. To cut the food stamps as high as food is going to be devastating. It's going to be devastating for the economy. Just the fact that a lot of people can't even afford medical insurance, and to pass a bill that could potentially cut Medicaid, Social Security, and just when I thought that we were on our way out of a recession, with there being some type of terms coming together with the tariffs, it looks like we're going right into a recession that's 10 times as worse as I thought it was when the tariffs started. I don't know what's going to happen now. These bills look like that they were signed and passed, and they're doing this to save over $1 trillion. Well, that $1 trillion that they're going to save by cutting all these people and leaving everybody out here starving, where's that $1 trillion going to go? What, to the U.S. Army? For more weapons? You mean to tell me that you rather starve the American people out than to do something that's going to benefit the American people? How is cutting SNAP benefits going to save Americans? How is cutting food stamps going to help the Americans? How is cutting SNAP going to help benefit and stimulate our economy? This is crazy, man. When I did that video earlier, I had no idea that it was coming down to this. Bro, this is bad, man. We need to do something about this. I don't know what we can do about it, but we need to do something about it, man. Like, this is getting crazy because the Social Security benefits is going to hurt our older people. Cutting food stamps is going to hurt the older people and the younger people who depend on it. Cutting housing, taking somebody's rent from $90 to $900 a month is going to be life-changing. Because that rent's going to go up, but that property that they're staying in is going to remain the exact same. No upgrades. This is, this is going to get bad for us, man. I'm going to be doing another video soon, so you guys stay tuned for it. Thanks for watching.
Good morning. While you were sleeping, the House of Representatives passed a big, beautiful spending bill. The budget bill was passed. That includes cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and other essentials for Americans to survive. Why? So the rich can have tax cuts. So the rich can have more money. As if they need it. It passed 215-214, narrowly, by one vote. Democrats currently have 3 vacancies because of the passings of Sylvester Turner, Jerry Colony, I forgot the other one, quite frankly. So they're handicapped. They're already handicapped being the minority. But those 3 seats were crucial. Imagine if all 3 of those were filled. This would not have passed, but we can't think about that now because it did pass. So, again, I ask you, if, and it is a big if, currently there are senators that are not in agreement with this bill, and there is a likelihood it will go through even more amendments and not end up being anything close to what they want it to be. So I'm not going to ignore that possibility. Maybe, just maybe, there are some moderate, true Republicans who will fight for the country. I'm not holding my breath. So I'll say if, although I want to say when. But if this budget bill does pass and it gets signed, what are we going to do about it? Again, we got options. We can do a general strike. We can go full Malcolm X, or we can do nothing. Just put our head in the sand and just wait 2 and 4 years to hopefully get them out of there. What are we going to do about it? You let me know, honestly. So, update. I am now on Instagram, Raw Cognizance. Go to my profile, my link tree, and follow me there. I think I can link it to my TikTok. If I haven't done that already, just find me on my link tree. It's easy to find. Raw Cognizance on all platforms. This isn't good, y'all. They are determined to be an authoritarian government. And they think they can get away with it. They are going to pay for this, one way or another. Anyways, follow me on all platforms. Go to my link tree to do so. You're not crazy.
So the House Republicans passed that bill that we've been talking about. The one that's going to snatch people off of Medicare and Medicaid, even though they said they weren't going to touch it. The one that's going to increase student loan repayment plans because they're going to consolidate loans if you're in the SAVE plan, which would basically cost us an additional $3,000 a year. The one that continues to extend those tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires, the richest among us. And then they even put the Trump trust in there. Now, on one hand, it's good because the children going to get $1,000 a year starting in 2026. But in true Donald Trump fashion, he had to put his name on it because marketing is everything. And so people will just assume and believe that he's giving them money when, again, as we see, Congress is the one with the power of the purse. But here's what I want to talk about. The fight is not over because the bill has to go to the Senate. And so let's educate because everybody may not know how the mechanics of this thing works. The House passed the bill. It's going to go to the Senate. The Senate must pass the exact bill for it to make it to the president's desk to sign. Now, we already know that the Senate is going to mark that thing up, make some changes, whether it be minor or major. They always make changes. They never just go along with what the House does. And vice versa. Like the Senate can start with a bill. It'll go to the House, back to the Senate, to the president's desk. The point is, whatever they come up with, both chambers of Congress, the House, where it just passed, and the Senate, which is considered the upper chamber, must agree on the language before it goes to the president's desk. So the fight isn't over. Chuck Schumer out in that Senate. Get on your Zoom. Okay? Get on your Zoom.
So I just finished reading the big, beautiful bill that the Republicans are trying to pass. I read the bill, so you guys don't have to read the bill. But I came with some of my key points that's in the bill. So they're going to pass this bill, y'all. I don't care what they cut. They are determined to pass this bill. So get ready for $650 billion in Medicaid cuts. Get ready for $300 billion in SNAP cuts. Get ready for $350 billion in student aid loans. Get ready for them to take $50 billion from federal employees. And they also say they're going to defund parenthood. I don't know, they're just so obsessed with women having babies. Also, they're going to remove taxes on gun silencers, y'all. That's what they're removing taxes on. Also, there's no tax on tips, which is going to be in this bill, this one beautiful bill. It's only no tax on cash only. Cash only. So if you get credit card tips or anything, they still going to tax that. And if you're making up to $25,000, you got to claim that on your taxes and let your employee know how much your cash tips were for you to get the deduction. So it's not what it seems. It's a big, beautiful, dumb bill that's going to hurt America. Think about it. $350 $50 billion in student aid is going to be taken away. So that means less people like me and less people like you ain't going to be able to afford to go to school. If you do get a loan, you're going to be in debt for a long time. $650 billion worth of cuts to Medicaid. You know your grandma on Medicaid. You know your granddaddy, your children's, autistic children. A lot of those kids are on Medicaid, but yet they're going to cut $650 billion from Medicaid. That's crazy. Also, they taking away food, y'all. We're talking about food. $300 billion in SNAP cuts, y'all. That's food. That's what people just trying to survive who don't have nothing. They gonna take that away and make y'all starve anymore. This bill is ridiculous. It's more to this, but I just want to narrow it down so y'all can know what's coming, because they gonna pass this bill. I guarantee you they gonna pass this bill. And also, guess who gained from this bill? Guess who gained? The rich is gonna get a $1.4 trillion tax cut. The rich, $1.4 trillion tax cut. So is this the big, beautiful bill y'all been waiting on? It's gonna pass. If you're on Medicaid, you better start thinking about what you're gonna do. If you get SNAP benefits, you better start thinking about what you're gonna do. If you're trying to go to school, you can't get student loan aid, you better start finding out what you're gonna do, because it's finna get ugly. They finna take from the poor and really give to the rich right in front of our eyes. And I guarantee y'all, I don't care how many Republicans say they're not gonna vote right now, but when that bill comes to the table, they're gonna vote for it. So get ready, y'all. Get ready for this big, beautiful BS bill that's gonna destroy a lot of people's lives just to get rich, just to find money from somewhere to give a $1.4 trillion tax cut to the rich. Make America great again. Make America great again.
So the one big, beautiful bill passed the House. Now it's on its way to the Senate. But you know what? That bill would not have even gotten past the House had the Democrats had the other 3 Democrats that they don't have in place right now. They got a Democrat out of Texas that's an NBC. Got it in Virginia now. Had we had those 3 seats filled, the bill would not have passed. They wouldn't have had the votes because 2 Republicans voted on the side of the Democrats against this bill. This bill is cutting Medicaid, it's cutting SNAP benefits, etc. But it got to go to the Senate. And hopefully when it gets to the Senate, a whole lot of changes will be made to this bill. Because this bill is only helping one group of people, the 1%, the rich.
It's 7:15 and I am leaving the Capitol to head home to Delaware after Republicans passed the largest cut in Medicaid in American history, the largest cut in food assistance ever in this country. And that's not just me or House Democrats saying that, that's the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office saying that. This is a terrible bill, but it was a close vote, a very close vote. And it now goes to the Senate, where we have more opportunities to take out the cuts to Medicaid, to help working people, not to line the pockets of billionaires and major corporations. But we need you to continue to lift your voice. It goes to the Senate, and it'll probably come back to us eventually again, if and when the Senate changes it. But this fight is not over. Democrats held the floor so that Republicans couldn't pass this heinous bill in the dark of night. The sun rose, and the public sees what House Republicans have just done.
Nobody's coming for your Medicare, they said. Nobody's taking away your Medicaid, they said. You're not going to lose your health insurance. Don't worry. The gaslighting is off the fun charts.
Okay, so by now a lot of y'all have seen that the big beautiful bill made its way through the House. And yes, a lot of y'all have been sending messages and they're like, oh my God, what now? What happens? Okay, listen, we're going to breathe. This is absolutely abhorrent what has happened, but it is not the end. What I need you to do, and I know y'all like, damn it, she's always giving us homework. How y'all think my students feel? But seriously, y'all, call your senators. Call your senators, especially the ones that will be involved in primaries next year. Call them and let them know that if they don't have the spine that it takes to make sure that their constituents are okay, you'll do what needs to be done at the polls. Now, here's the thing. We're not waiting on Chuck Schumer to do what he said, because let's just see if he can stand on business or if he remembers what he said, because he said that if this comes to the Senate, it will be DOA and dead in the water, is what he said. But I also want you to understand, too, it still has to go through the Senate. Now, I know that there was only 2 Republicans that had a spine, and you needed 2 more. But what also needs to be addressed is, like we have said, term limits, because there's absolutely no reason that, unfortunately, we did lose 3 Democratic seats. And here's the thing. Turner was lost, and they are not allowing anyone to get that seat filled. I'm going to say that again. Turner unfortunately passed away. That's Texas. They are not allowing that seat to be filled, because that seat should have absolutely been filled. Now, here's what we know. Like I said, it still has to go through the Senate. So don't, think, oh my God, they're going to start passing this and they're going to do this and, all the things and this is what's going to happen. No, it still has to go through the Senate. The Senate is strongly opposing this. What is going to happen is either they have to pass the exact same bill, like identical. They can't, because they can't agree. They didn't agree with a lot of the things in here. Although they agreed on some, they were willing to compromise on others. They didn't agree on the whole thing. So therefore, if they can't pass the exact same one, that same bill will not go through. So which means the Senate is going to absolutely go through and rewrite a lot of this. With that revision, it goes back again. So this is why calling your senators is important. I don't care what side of the aisle they're on, especially if they're counting on your vote next year. North Carolina, Tom Tillis is counting on your vote for next year. So you tell his little turkey neck that he better get in there and do it right. Some talking points to consider, like AOC was saying, 13.7 million. They're going to try to deflect. They're going to try to say, oh, well, you know, this 13.7 million people will be without health care. The amount of people that will be without SNAP benefits. The fact that they are changing or trying to change the legal age of a child from 18 to 7. You heard me. From 18 to 7 to qualify for benefits. These are some talking points that you need to discuss. Our seniors who need to be able to pay for their medications. Our seniors who need to be able to remain independent. Because it's just not fair for them to have to, you know, make just whatever decisions so that they can survive. These are things that you need to call your senators and stress and say, again, if you want my vote, vote for the people, because we are in charge of what they are supposed to be doing, not the other way around. They are not the ones that are supposed to be in charge, and this is where they got the game fucked up. And this is where we have to absolutely say, we are not going to stand for this. The defunding of Planned Parenthood. A lot of people, of course, they want to defund it because, you know, they're always talking about abortion. It's not about abortion. It's about those people who don't have access to health care, who still can't afford, you know, affordable care and need a physical, need a checkup, need these things that they can get at Planned Parenthood. They might need someone to, you know, a referral. They can get these things at Planned Parenthood. It is not just about abortion. All of women's reproductive rights. And again, if all of those pro-lifers want to come in my comments, fuck you until I see you have at least 3 foster kids under your care. If you don't, miss me with the fake ass outrage. You bastard. Now, we are also looking at, you know, the different infrastructures when it comes to, and also when it comes to, you know, teacher pay and all of these other things that are important to your daily life. Say those things when you can make these phone calls. Make sure you're, you know, you state your name. Make sure you call your senator. And also, be respectful. Don't be, you know, a menace. We're going to get this done, and we're going to get this done right, and they're going to hear our voices, but we're going to do it effectively.
I am going through the big, beautiful bill that the Republicans passed last night in the House, and when I tell you there are specific cuts to Medicare, not just Medicaid, to Medicare. So there is Section 44121, which is a moratorium on staffing requirements for long-term care facilities. That's just one of the cuts. So they basically will reduce the amount of people that are required to be on staff at a facility. And as someone who's gone through this with family members, I can tell you they're already short-staffed. The second thing that they do is they're going to reduce the requirements that these people have to work there. I can also tell you that there is a shortage of people who actually have nursing skills. They often have people who show up that have a couple of weeks worth of training and don't know how to administer medications or certain care procedures, and that makes people's lives so much worse when you don't have someone there that can actually help them. So these cuts are going to be devastating. I'll be going through the rest of the bill today. Please follow, and I will give you as many updates as I can.
So the House passed the bill. They passed the budget bill, HR 1, or what they like to call it, One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Nothing about that's beautiful, right? Because let's look at it. It cuts $30 billion from food stamps, $50 billion from Medicare, $80 billion from Medicaid, $358 billion from the ACA. It lowers taxes for the wealthy. It taxes on tips get removed, overtime, Social Security, only for 2 fucking years. But it adds, this is what it adds, because it does add some things, right? But $20 trillion to the debt and $3 trillion to the deficit. It's not beautiful, unless you're a billionaire. You would think that's all, right? No, it's 1,000 pages. So this bill also has bans on gender-affirming care. And a lot of y'all don't understand some of the services you get is gender-affirming fucking care, even if you're not trans. This bill also strips states from being able to regulate AI for 10 years. This bill also gives the Treasury Department the power to remove non-tax status if they don't like you. You don't do as they say. This bill also redefines sex so that it excludes intersex and trans individuals. They have to make it 1,000 pages so nobody can read the full fucking bill until it becomes too late.
Oh, if they take Medicaid, if they cut SNAP, those people who don't want to work have to work. No, I don't think you're looking at the deeper picture. Nurses, doctors, CNAs, what is it called, LPNs, all of them gonna lose their jobs too. How you may say? Well, if they cut all those billions of dollars in Medicaid, most of the people in hospital depend on Medicaid. Most of the people in nursing homes depend on Medicaid, which where RNs and doctors and nurses work. So if all of them die, who's gonna fund the hospitals and the nursing homes? So that means that everybody else loses their jobs too. So I don't think y'all really thinking this out clearly. So all them Senates who got RN doctors, RN daughters and all that, when they start losing their job and then, oh my gosh, God forbid they lose their job and they can't take care of their kid, they can't pay their house mortgage, what will they ever do? What will they do? Oh no. When their grandma die. Oh no. When their third cousin die. And then they got to go to the funeral and they say, what did Mary Lou die from? And then they say, because Mary Lou was on Medicaid and you guys cut the Medicaid and Mary Lou died, and then what? Oh.
This bill is huge, and definitely the voices, which I appreciate so very much, each person that contributed to this, cited out a few of the issues, the urgent issues that are going to affect people immediately, like Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, and I think more other few things like you've heard, right? And there's quite a number of people that are saying, oh, this is exactly what America needs, you know. But let's be honest, majority of these people that are saying this, they all belong in the 1%. We have to know that America is a huge corporation that is run by a cartel. I said a cartel for a purpose, because tell me where they are putting tax cuts, and these tax cuts, all of them, right, benefit the billionaires. So more poor people are getting their money to put money into the pockets of billionaires. And tell me where most of these huge policies have to be drafted, right, and put in place in the shortest period of time, without giving people alternatives to, you know, prepare themselves and set themselves up, you know, to make sure they survive. It's more like they bring something and be like, "Boo," right? Figure out how you're going to survive. They cut federal workers, right? There's quite a number of stuff that does not put in thought any average American that works so hard to support their families, right? Because let's agree, yeah, a lot of Americans are not rich, right? A lot of Americans are not rich. These people are, you know, surviving paycheck to paycheck to be able to take care of, you know, their families and themselves. And then you have now to cut Medicaid, right? And all the benefits that have been coming with that, right? So that you are putting more burden on them. They have already been struggling. The cost of living is already going high. Everything is expensive. Medication is very expensive. And now they are taking away these benefits. Who is going to take care of the children that have, you know, disabilities? What about the elderlies that don't depend on anything else except they have been depending on SNAP benefits and Medicaid and Medicare, right? Who is going to take care of them? Social Security is going to come in, but it's going to be very little. So are they going to be able to divide that and push some to their medical care and still be able to afford life? To me, this looks like a plan that they've been trying to invent for the longest period to get rid of the older generation, because they think these people are not productive enough. They are a burden. And that explains why actually they are, you know, getting rid of, you know, Planned Parenthood, and they are actually giving something like 1,000 to every parent that gives birth to a child under this very first term, right? So get rid of all the older people because they are too much of a burden on us, right? Let's make space for a productive, you know, generation, which I don't even know how that is going to work, because in the process a lot of people are going to be hurt, and even those that used to support the government, just like that, they are going to lose confidence, because if you can't take care of them and take care of their own people, like, right, a lot of them are going to lose confidence and they are not going to vote for you anymore. But I think this goes to show you how dictatorial this regime has turned. Hopefully this does not go through when it comes to the Senate. Hopefully they, you know, because chances are a lot of them are not okay with everything in the bill. So chances are they might, you know, amend it and send it back to, you know, to the Congress and they vote again. But hopefully, because if it goes through, this is going to affect quite a number of people. And for the immigrants that voted for this man, yes, you also have somewhere where you're going to be affected. You know, as I was reading through this entire thing, right, there's 5% that is going to be put on, you know, like all foreign remittances. Like if you are sending money back home, right, 5% is going to be put, like it's going to be cut on your money, right? So that means exactly what you wanted them to receive. Yeah, you're gonna have to work twice as hard. And I think a lot of people were telling you, you know, this is going to happen, but you never listened. I know that our people are going to be okay, but the thing is, there's quite a number of people that are going to be affected in this. Yeah, apparently that's what it is. My prayers goes out to all of you, and I think I don't want you guys to panic, because panic is another way the enemy uses to actually cut your life short. So I understand the situations and everything that is put out there is actually meant to work against you, right? But right now is not a time to panic. A lot of voices in here have suggested quite a number of solutions that you guys have to take, and I think you should take those up. Yeah, others will pray that this whole thing really does not go through, because if it does, it is raising quite a number of concerns to a lot of Americans. And this is exactly what MAGA brought on the rest of the world, unfortunately, when everybody was told, you know. And you know, the most interesting thing is actually most MAGAs are not even out there. They don't have their lives figured out. There's quite a number of increased homelessness that is going to happen. There's quite a number of, you know, joblessness that is going to happen. You're going to realize these days that there's quite a number of agencies that are going to close down. But on the brighter side, if you're creative, I think the market might be open for you, but that's what it looks like right now. I know that there's quite more that is going to be coming up, and I think I'll report more on that as well. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I think from me for today, that's it. I love all of you, and I'll see you in another amazing video. Just do me a favor, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share it, and bye.